Hello, slimes and non-slimes. Residue here. Um, Nightreign came out. It came out a while ago, but I'm finally getting around to playing it with a friend of mine, only to learn that trying to play duos in this game is goddamn awful. um, yeah, it's not... It is better to just solo queue than it is to queue up with a singular friend, and that's a bit ridiculous, honestly. But this right here, what you're seeing is just me doing the remembrance quest for Wilder. And yeah, I severely overestimated how long a single expedition lasts. Like, I cut off the final fight of this expedition against the Night Lord, and that was like 10 minutes, and this video is still going to be like 30 minutes long. So this is probably going to be a game where I do solely live commentary over it instead of post-commentary. Unfortunately, I did not figure that out after I, recorded the video. But if you are seeing this, it should be July 5th, which, if you don't know, is my birthday. The day I was unfortunately brought into this world. So, yeah, that's why this video is a bit bare bones, as some would say. I'm gonna be honest, this video was just kind of made in case I didn't come back to my stuff before I could leave on vacation. So, yeah, not much really going on. I have 2 other videos that I'm making this week, which you've probably already seen if the upload schedule is correct. If I scheduled it correctly, I mean. But I suppose I could get into what I like and dislike about Nightreign, I suppose. I mean, that is the game you are currently seeing on the screen. So, immediately, I love the idea of the whole thing being like based around trios. It gives me a lot of... It creates a lot of cool moments, I'll give it that. But, dear God, you can feel that the bosses and stuff were designed with you having exactly 2 other people at your side helping you. Because, I just, for the life of me, despise Gladius, the Beast of Night. The first Night Lord you'll face, the guy who unlocks the ability to unlock the 2 other secret characters, but not really secret, because everyone figured it out on like day 1. But yeah, you'd beat him. His whole gimmick is like, he's a dog with a sword, which is really cool. It creates these really wide arcs for attacks, which is really good boss design when you are specifically going against 3 people. But every time I fought him, he just kind of keeps running away. He keeps doing like the little backflip and then hitting me with a arena-wide sword, which, you know, is normally fine when there's 3 other people, because normally one person can always just stay on their ass. You can't do that if you're only... You can't do that if the person he is avoiding is only you. So that creates a bit of an issue, and then you have the whole part where he just turns into a gank fight with like the whole thing is that he splits into 3 different wolves for his second phase. The problem is, like every other gank fight in Elden Ring, it just creates scenarios where it's like impossible to win, because they will just hit you with one attack, it immediately leads into another, and then it leads into another, and then you're dead. I may or may not have lost like 3 expeditions to that so far already, and I'm definitely not still salty about it. I don't know what you mean. I haven't faced any of the other Night Lords yet, only Gladius. I have defeated Gladius. Don't worry, that's why you see me doing this remembrance quest right here. But the thing is, I I don't really like the night, like the bosses that end every single night. It I understand, like, oh, it's just I have heard complaints that like the end of the night bosses for night 1 and 2 are just reused from Elden Ring, which I already have some gripes with that already. What my major complaint is the fact that they are bosses that you can also encounter in Limveld, just wandering around. Like, the Bell-Bearing Hunter can not only be a boss for the first night, but he can also be a wandering boss, or a boss in the castle. And then you have the Demi-Human Queen, who also appears in the first night, and you can also come across them in the wild. I think the only boss I've faced so far in Night 2 that I haven't seen in the overworld was the Tree Sentinel, which I wouldn't put it past them to put the Tree Sentinel somewhere else as a wandering boss. It's not that I dislike them reusing bosses from Elden Ring, I just wish that the end of night bosses and the wandering bosses didn't overlap. Cause it's like, oh hey, a Bell-Bearing Hunter, I fought you like 10 minutes ago. And then you have what was I gonna say? Goddamn. I gotta say a whole lot of shit. There's like 14 other minutes. It's like 27 more minutes of this shit. I suppose I could talk about the characters. The Nightfarers I'm a bit half and half on. I really like the Recluse, Revenant, and Wilder. I really like Wilder when I'm going on solo expeditions especially. But I'm not a big fan of the whole... I'm not a big fan of many of the other Nightfarers. It's really strange to me that there's so many different options of playstyles for the Nightfarers, yet there isn't one that really specializes in like a Spellblade playstyle. Like, you have the Duchess, who can use both spells and like dexterity weapons, but she doesn't really come across as a Spellblade type character. She comes more across as just like, you know, a standard rogue, which, you know, is kind of what she's built for. But like, I fought Executor. You know, fuck it, Execute. I thought Execute was, you know, gonna be like a Faith dex build, because, you know, they're based off of the Crucible Knights. But there's Dexterity and Arcane, not Dex Faith, and I was like really upset about that, because I really wanted to have like a Faith Spellblade, but none of the Nightfarers are built for both like martial weapons and incantations. It's either one or the other, and that is pretty upsetting. And then that's just pretty bad on my end, because I thought, you know, I want to play a Spellblade using a straight sword in this game, and then it's like, none of the Nightfarers are built for that, dumbass. Yeah, that's just really sad on my end. And then you have Gladiator, what? No, you have Guardian and a Raider, who just functionally speaking are sort of like the same character. They're these big guys who are meant to take damage. That's what they do. Why do we need both of them? I feel like you could have done something else with Guardian other than just make him like the dedicated shield poker. Because that's kind of all he is just dedicated exclusively to shield poking. And then Raider is just dedicated to like face tanking stuff. I don't understand it. I think it's just pretty bad overall, having it be like that. Wilder's pretty fun. He just has a button that just goes like, I want a critical hit, give it to me. And I usually build most of my I usually try to make my builds around like landing critical hits when I'm playing Wilder, just because his ultimate just kind of gives you a free one. And I have a relic that like increases how much poise and stance damage I do to the bosses equipped, which is pretty cool. And he's just excellent for getting around the map, which is absolutely crucial if you are doing a solo playthrough. A solo expedition, I should say. Because it just helps out a lot with mobility and getting around to the places you need to do. Recluse is probably my favorite Nightfarer, simply because I'm just a fan of Int Faith builds in general. Both casually, and I've tried to make it work competitively in PvE. Not PvE, PvP, I should say. I've tried making it an Int Faith build work in PvP. I might make a video if I ever get finished up with the revamped version of that build that I made a while back. Because if you don't know, and I wouldn't blame you, I don't think I've ever showcased off my Int Faith build on the channel, even on a live stream actually. I made an Int Faith build in Elden Ring that the whole thing about the build was that I was able to cast every single incantation and sorcery in the base game. Which, as you can imagine, it did not turn out to be a really good build. Yeah, the build just struggled a whole lot with getting the stats it needs, because if you're going off solely the base game, you need like 50 faith to cast every single incantation, and then like some like insane number for intelligence. I think it was like 80 intelligence just so you could cast like Renala's full moon. I think you need like 80 intelligence to cast that, which trying to do that at meta level is impossible. So what I ended up doing was that I would just boost intelligence with like the intelligence heirloom, the intelligence not crystal tier, and like the Renala helmet to boost my intelligence as much as I could without actually having to invest into intelligence. Which, as you can imagine, at a late game build, in order to get that to work, I needed to use both America's Soar Seal and the intelligence heirloom in order to get my intelligence high enough to cast Renala's full moon. As you can imagine, it was not a good build. What? It was not a good build. It could get like 2-tapped by any boss, and yeah, it just was not good at all. But what was probably the biggest problem with that build was like the second the DLC came out, the build just kind of fucking broke, because now there were incantation spells that went up to like 70 faith. And I was already struggling to get the build to even have like 80 intelligence and 50 faith. Now I need to like nearly double the amount of stats I needed in order to make the build work. And that's not even including like the stats I needed for the armor I wanted, for having a decent amount of vigor in mind to cast the spells and be able to tank. The build just didn't work, is what I'm trying to say. It was really fun though, especially because you have access to every single spell in the game. You basically have access to every single true combo that spells and incantations can have. And it was really fun messing around with those in PvP, because, you know, who the fuck brings an Int Faith build into PvP? Unfortunately, there is a bit of a problem with that. So I just decided, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna remake the build from scratch again. Who cares? Because another major problem was, like, I wanted to use the different Int Faith weapons that were added with the DLC, mainly the Smith script weapons. And yeah, the stats were just getting way too high for it to even work. I suppose... And now I'm just trying to go through the game again with like an updated version of the build. to hopefully fix those problems of it just being absolutely dog shit. I absolutely hate this first night boss, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's because I'm a dumbass. Every time I do Demi-Human Queen and Demi-Human Swordmaster, I almost always end up pushing the Demi-Human Queen into second phase immediately. Which then results in this. 2 aggressive bosses who want to be in my face and give me no room to breathe, alongside an entire horde of monsters. Of demi-humans, I should say. We don't call them monsters in this household. They're just misunderstood little beings. Regardless to say, this was just absolutely chaotic. I'm having to worry if I'm trying to focus down the Swordmaster, but I can't lock onto him because the Demi-Human Queen summons a bunch of other demi-humans once she enters second phase. I can't target the Demi-Human Swordmaster because there's too many demi-humans on screen for me to lock onto. I eventually managed to, and once you get one of them dead, the other one just crumbles. They don't have a lot of HP. But it is very annoying having to deal with both Swordmaster and Queen at the same time. Especially if you make Demi-Human Queen into the second phase. It can just get really intense really quickly, and it just does not work at all. I almost lose this. But luckily, they changed how solo expeditions work a while back. So now you get 1 retry on every boss. That would normally just end your run. Which, excellent change by the way, considering how bullshit some of these bosses can be at times. That being said, fuck, there's still like a half the video left and I ran out of shit to say. Fuck, what's some random other point I can point out? Not a big fan of, yeah, I'm struggling to find stuff to talk about. I was not expecting expeditions to be like 30 minutes long. I thought they were going to be like 20 minutes max, considering how much people like push how urgent and how fast you gotta be with these things. You can take your time. Don't let those people fool you. Yes, there is a storm. Yes, it will push you closer. You have like 15 minutes before the boss at the end of the night. You have like 15 minutes where you can explore the map. It is... don't be afraid to take your time with stuff. You should be afraid of guardian golems. That guy jump scared me. Like, actually, I was scared fucking shitless when I get hit with an arrow from that guy. And then I get scared shitless again when he shoots a second one. But, I'm not... the movement of this game. I love and hate this movement because I'm a big fan of using the colossal weapons crouch attacks. The issue is, there's no crouch button. They got rid of that for a dedicated sprint button, despite the fact that the game already had a dedicated sprint button. I just could not bring myself to like it. Why did they change the sprint button to be on a separate button that took over crouch? We already had a sprint button. You could have just buffed the normal sprint. Why are we here? We can... I don't understand. Like, we had a sprint button in Elden Ring. You just hold down circle and the direction you want to run in, and you would sprint into that direction. But they made a dedicated sprint button for what reason? I don't know. Oh, and here comes a really funny death up here soon. I'll come back to it when it becomes applicable. But the way I die here is just absolute bullshit. So I'm not a big fan of having the sprint on its dedicated button, especially considering it got rid of crouch, which is a whole facet of a moveset for some weapons. And not being able to use crouch poke on Colossals is really jarring, especially coming from an invasion player like me. Okay, here's the death. It looks like I just walked off, but I swear I was locked into the animation. I was locked into an animation. I swear. I don't know what animation I was locked into, considering that you don't walk when you activate this thing. This was like my first time using these things, and I thought I was locked into an animation. No, turns out my controller has stick drift. I thought I was locked into an animation. Turns out it was just stick drift, and it was fucking awful. I got reset back a level, and yeah, that was not fun. So I do like the mobility that the new movement gives us, being able to like scale up walls and sprint really quickly, so we don't need to torrent. Fuck the giant hands, by the way. They are fucking bullshit. Yeah, just not a big fan of the movement, but then again, also a real big fan of the movement. It's so fluid and stuff that I just really like it. If you don't know what the fuck I'm doing around here, I'm trying to figure out how to get to the church within the volcano. I eventually gave up and just decided, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna go do the castle real quick. Because I learned that you didn't have to really do much of the I kid you not, when I first started playing this game, I was like, okay, I need to clear out everything. And then I played with some randoms online. And it's like, where the fuck are they They're just running straight to the bosses. Which, you know what, understandable. Running straight to the bosses is a valid strategy. In fact, I implore you to just run straight to the bosses. Because they give you insane passive buffs and weapons upon their defeat. And hell, if you're doing like a camp, just rush to the targets that actually have the health bar, don't bother with the smaller enemies. Because you lose out a lot of time doing that. And I know I said, you know, you should take your time, you got like 15 minutes for every single day. I lied. You should absolutely be rushing every single objective you can. Simply because the more objectives you land, the more buffs you get, and the more buffs you get, the easier the final boss is. So, naturally, the thought process is, if I rush every single boss on the map, I'll have every single buff I can. And generally that will just kind of lead to stronger builds and, you know, just stronger stuff overall. And I don't need to tell you that the Leonine Misbegotten, one of my favorite bosses in the base game, I'm gonna be honest, absolute bullshit. Cause like I heal and this motherfucker immediately attacks me 3 times in a row when I'm just trying to heal. He doesn't do anything, and then suddenly he just starts being aggressive again the moment I heal. It's bullshit. I could have parried him. I forgot I had a shield. I just kind of forgot I had a shield and I didn't parry him at all. But I don't really care. I got the remembrance. I was just half expecting to die the moment I got the remembrance quest done, because I just did not care for solo expeditions. After playing with a full squad, it is just so much more fun with a full squad, especially for the final fight. I'm just getting my ass handed to me by this Leonine Misbegotten over and over again. But you know what? We win these. I forgot that the critical hit doesn't actually have 2 hits. He dies here though. And I get like absolutely killer items here, like increased like poise damage, I think somewhere. From that hammer, I think I get increased like stance damage just by having that hammer in my inventory. I tried using Braggart's Roar, but I forgot how Braggart's Roar works, in that you kind of need the weapon to stay in your offhand. You can't, like, put it away when you two-hand a weapon. I kind of forgot about that. That's my bad. All these talismans, yep. I am struggling. So yeah, the castle's extremely quick. They don't take too long. Circle's closing, so I lose out on like one of the churches that I wanted to go to, so I'm now having to resort back to the church that I didn't want to get, simply because I just couldn't bring myself to find that church. Now I'm kind of forced to, or else I just won't have enough flasks to live anything. Also, if you ever get like the flask side grade that makes your flasks heal you over time instead of instantly, never get that. Just never get that. I don't care if the other options are worse. Especially if the other options are worse. Just bite the bullet and take the bad ones, because the flask is probably the worst change that you could ever do as an upgrade. It's just god-awful as a buff. I know I don't see it in this game, but trust me, it's fucking awful. I had it when I was playing Recluse, and yeah, it was just not fun having to wait in the back line and heal when I wanted to just go up there and spam Carrion Slicer. That being said, this game's amazing, but it's also god-awful. I really like it, I do, but like, most of what you can get here you can also just get by playing Elden Ring. The only real reason to get this game is simply because the Nightfarers have unique abilities, and the Night Lords, the Night Lord bosses, can be fun. Like I said, I haven't faced all the Night Lord bosses yet. I don't have exactly a positive outlook on the Night Lords I have faced so far. And the only reason why I'm constantly playing this game still is simply because the Nightfarers just have such unique and interesting abilities that it kind of keeps me going. That or the Sun Cost Fallacy. Once again, I don't understand why certain bosses can show up both in Limveld as like wandering bosses, but then they can also reappear as like the end of the night bosses as well. It kind of takes away from having them be like the capstone of the night, when, you know, I fought you like 10 minutes ago for like a +2 to my damage. Doesn't make much sense. I eventually just have to skip this buff because I can't really look at the other like buffs, because these motherfuckers right here. So yeah, the buffs just weren't worth it. I just leave. I just take the level. Actually no, I don't take the level because I wanted to get those straight swords from earlier that I was looking at, because they increase how much damage I do to stance and guard breaking. Which, yeah, really fun build. Just running around, stance breaking everything, just by holding a great sword. I don't know why I'm doing. I don't know what else to say, honestly. I still have like 5 more minutes to push, and mind you, I cut out the final fight. I cut out the fight with the Night Lord. That fight took like 10 minutes. I lose. And as I said earlier, Gladius is a boss that I absolutely fucking despise. Mechanically, I think he works great for what this game is trying to do, because, you know, you're expected to go into that fight with 3 other people. But, I'm doing this solo because I can't queue up with my friend. Because if we try to queue up as a duo, the matchmaking just fucking breaks, and we can't find a fucking match. I kid you not, I have like 2 hours of footage of just me and my friend sitting at the round table hold, just waiting to get into a match, and we never got into one. I'm hoping that they add a duos mode sooner rather than later, because that was just a hellish experience that if you only have one friend, you shouldn't get Nightreign, is what I'm saying. Because you really need either a full squad, or you just want to go in at solo. You cannot play this game with only one friend. The game just won't let you, and I'm hoping that they add a fucking duos mode sooner rather than later. Cause, yeah, it just isn't fun going through the game that you got, with your friend, just so you could play it with your friend, only to learn that, the game just won't let you queue up with your friend because you need 3 people. It's really dumb. I really hate it. Game's amazing. What else should I say? This is the final fight of the video, by the way. It's these 2 Fell Omens, and then it's going to be Margit afterwards, and he takes like 2 minutes at most, because this build absolutely fucking shreds his health. But, yeah, as you saw earlier, I forgot how Braggart's Roar works. I kinda need to have that weapon stay in my offhand to keep up the buff, but you see me reapply it like a dumbass. And here's what I was talking about. Boom! Bam, free critical hit. It's like, I want my crit button now. Morgott, I really like the new moves they added to Morgott, especially like this Blood Flame one. You have to dodge it like a bit on a delay, simply because the attack doesn't activate immediately. But I really like Morgott in this game. He's really fun to fight, just as he was in the base game, and his small health bar doesn't really detract from the fun, because he's kind of just a stepping stone to the actual fight that you're trying to get to. I do not really like the Night Lord Gladius. If I haven't said that already like 3 times, you're probably wondering how the fuck can I complain about that still. But yeah, he goes down here. You should be seeing this on my birthday. I'm gonna cut out the rest of the fight with the Night Lord, simply because I just get absolutely frame trapped to death like 3 times, despite the different mending graces I get. Anywho, I hope you all have a good time. Like, comment, subscribe, do all